Christian parenting.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
Hello and welcome to the Christian Parenting Podcast. I'm your host, Steph Thurling, and I'm so glad that you're here today. We are in our last week of talking about school choices. This podcast is meant to give you encouragement and resources in your parenting journey, and this series is meant to give you insight, fresh perspective, and guidance in your school journey. Whether you're navigating the right choice for your family, or maybe you're going to pivot a little bit, or if you're happy right where you are, I hope that you find these episodes about school informative. Today, I'm joined by my friend Brittaney Devane, and we are talking about online school. So you're going to hear about her experience in various school settings and what led her and her husband to decide to pull their oldest son from his school and bring him home to do online school through Liberty University. She discusses the challenges and benefits of online schooling, including things like flexibility, socialization, and the academic structure. And then she really emphasizes the importance of community support and the decision-making process between parents. You're going to leave this conversation with a new appreciation for the unexpected joys and the transformations that can come from exploring alternative education options for your kids. I hope that it encourages you and reminds you that you are able to make the right decision for your child, even if that decision looks a little different than you imagined. Enjoy! Hi, Brittaney. Welcome to the Christian Parenting Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is fun. Brittaney and I have been friends for a very long time. Mm-hmm. We met in MOPS and Bible Study Fellowship.
All at the same time.
Mm-hmm. When we were pregnant with number 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're very close in age. And we've done a lot of life together.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in a Bible study together again. It's like more of a fellowship, we like to say, because it's a working mom's Bible study at 6:30 in the morning before we all go to work. And it's hard to do because we're all busy, but we meet,
we show up, we dive in,
and we fellowship. And that's what we do. We try.
That's what matters.
Us working moms, we're
giving
trying
our best.
Yes. Okay. So tell us so people can get to know you. Tell us about you, what you do. Tell us about your family. The important things.
Yes. So I am a mom. I have 3 boys at home, and they are ages 9, 11, and 13. So my house is very loud at all times with moving bodies at all times. And then I also own a medical wellness aesthetic practice. And so my job is very consuming. And then I am married to a husband who also has a very demanding job with some travel. So our lives are chaotic at all times. And what Steph alluded to is we're just doing our best every day. we show up every day, we do our best, and it's not always pretty, but here we are.
That's what we're all doing.
Yeah.
But so, okay, I feel like that's a good transition because we're talking about schooling and schooling choices. And we actually have a very similar journey as your kids started public school. Mm-hmm. Then you went private, different public school, but same private school.
Yep.
2 of your boys are still there with my kids. And then you pulled your oldest out last year.
Yep.
And you do online school.
We do online school.
You do online school, which is like kind of homeschool, kind of not. And I think it's a really unique option because, like you said, you're both working parents with very demanding out of the home jobs. Well, I guess Brian works from home.
He works from home.
But he travels a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot,
like international travel. So where he can be gone for weeks at a time. So there's a lot of times where, yes, we are both outside of the home.
Okay, so you managed to do that and have one kid at home learning. So I want to jump into that because I think online school isn't one that people think about quite as often as an option. So why did you decide to go that route? Let's just start there.
Yeah. So we had all three of our kids underneath one roof because our kids were at a K-8 school and we loved it. And it was really, really great for a lot of years. And then suddenly something shifted and it wasn't great anymore. Our oldest was having some behavioral issues at school. School was becoming a place he did not want to go to. And it became really apparent very quickly that this just isn't working. And so my husband and I kind of felt pigeonholed of what do we do, because we both work. Homeschool is not an option. And I am just not gifted with that skill set either to be a teacher at home. I need to be mom. I think COVID really showed when we brought our kids home, when every kid got brought home during COVID, that I cannot be a teacher. That just really strains my relationship with my kids.
We love teachers.
We love teachers. Yes. Yeah, we love teachers. And so it really became apparent that where he wasn't working. Homeschooling wasn't really an option because I could not be there. My husband could not be there. And so a friend, I believe, brought to me the option of an online K-12 education. So not quite homeschool, because what I could not do is be with my kid. I needed it to be really led by a different teacher. It just wasn't going to be a teacher where my son was. So that led us eventually to Liberty University. And they have a K-12 online program called LUOA, Liberty University Online Education. I don't think I got that right, but LUOA.
I'll put links in chat.
And so what the structure of that program is 100% self-paced. And so he could work really far ahead. He could work really far behind. There was no logging on, having to be on at 9 a.m., which was what a lot of the programs in Minnesota, where we live, we could have gone through the public school system and done an online program like that. But those have where there are set login times. And we knew that if we were going to bring our son Harrison home, we wanted a lot of flexibility within the schedule. So we didn't want to tie ourselves down to a set login time. And so that's really why we picked a Christian education. We really value Christian education, and we wanted to keep that consistent with what he was getting at the private school. So that's really how we kind of narrowed it down, was a Christian program, a self-paced program, and one that can truly be about 95% teacher-led, very little parent involvement. And that was what landed us there.
And what does his typical day look like?
No 2 days are the same. That is the beauty of being home. There are some days where he truly doesn't do any homeschool, and he relishes those days. He really loves to rub it in his brother's faces when they come home from 8 hours of school and he says he did nothing. And so he will do some days where he doubles up, and he'll do some days where he does none. Sometimes he'll do a whole week's worth in one day. And then other days he truly does just a couple hours every single day. I think it was incredibly eye-opening of how few hours are actually needed.
I mean, that's what homeschooling people say, right?
Yes, and everybody told me, and I don't know why I didn't believe them, but everybody told me it's so few hours, and it became apparent really quickly it is actually so few hours every day. Anywhere from about 1 to 3 hours per day is about how long it takes him to get his schoolwork done. And so he is a kid that is motivated by doing things, movement. And so in the winter, what it looked like is he would finish his homework by about 10 a.m. He was done. And then he went skiing about 6 days a week. So he was at our local ski area, and that worked out so beautifully because that was all that he wanted to do was ski. So he did his homework and then he skied. And then now that it's no snow on the ground, he gets his homework done and he's really money motivated. So he's out there mowing lawns now. So.
And he's like a very self-motivated person.
Very self-motivated.
Which do you think that is key for this type of thing?
Yes and no, because he's really motivated when he wants to do something. Mm-hmm. So going, skiing, mowing lawns. So we have learned we have to dangle something in front of him. Otherwise, he will actually probably never do it. He is so good when he has his mindset to it. But if it was just us telling you have to do your homework with nothing as an end reward, he wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like he just wouldn't do it.
Well, I wonder if this type of school is helpful for a kid like that, because then he knows like he can go do what he wants to do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's his reward instead of grades. Yes. Yep, exactly.
And so it has been really lovely to just figure out what motivates him too. And you have to figure out every kid's currency. For him, it is, what can I get once I am done with school? And so once we figured that out, after the first couple months, I really smoothed things over of, you can go skiing. You just got to get your homework done.
Yeah. Well, when we were talking before we started recording, like his brother's finished school today and he's not done yet because he just won't finish.
Yeah, we have nothing to dangle in front of him right now. And so he's got like a week left of homework that hopefully
he just got to get done. But that's that self-pacing and the independence, right? Yeah. It's like he has to figure it out.
He has to figure it out. Yeah. And so I would have said that a kid to be successful with online school needs to be self-motivated, but honestly, Harry's not that self-motivated either. So you just have to figure out their motivation, their currency, what will make them get it done.
What has been the hardest part about switching to online school?
The hardest part, people ask me all the time, and I think other people are far more worried than I am actually worried about his socialization, which is actually quite funny because everyone loves to say, well, how are you having him interact with peers? What does that look like? Is he bored at home all day long? Yeah. And no, he is a highly social kid. And that was a concern initially for us pulling him to online, but he has wonderful neighborhood friends. He is a chatter. He will call up family and friends on the phone. And then he's involved at youth group. He's involved at our church. So he's got people everywhere. So actually socialization has not been a concern at all.
And then he has some homeschool friends too, like traditionally homeschooled friends.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. We got people everywhere. So he really is not lacking socialization at all.
Yeah. I feel like that's always a concern for homeschool too. I already recorded our homeschool episode and we talked about socialization and the myth of your kids struggling with that if they're not in a school. Because there's so much more to socializing than just being in a classroom.
So much more. And then what's become more eye-opening with Harry is he really doesn't want to be with peers of his own age, which is interesting. And this might just be Harry and the child that he is. But he wants to be with older people. He wants to be with 15, 16, 17-year-olds. And what's nice is he can be with this online school. He also spends a ton of time with his grandparents, which has been a really sweet year. He went down to Florida with my parents for a month, and he would have never been able to do that. And so there's been so many things that he has gotten to do because of this really flexible schedule. And we went into the year thinking, let's just do it for 1 year. Honestly, let's do it for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. And then it turned into 1 year. But we really said, if we're going to do this 1 year, like, let's go big and let's do all the things that you can't do in a traditional classroom setting. And so exactly like getting to ski every day, like what kid gets to go at the ski hill at 10 a.m. And then things like going down to Florida for a whole month with his grandparents and another set of grandparents he goes out for lunch with all the time too. And he's been able to help and more elderly woman in the neighborhood weekly too. So he's gotten to do all of these really unique, cool things that he would have never been able to do. So it really has opened up a world of things I just didn't even entertain when I was thinking about doing online school.
Yeah, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
He's going on all these adventures.
Oh, I want his life.
Yeah, I mean, I want all.
I want to be Harry.
All the time.
I know. No, I want to go to Florida for a month, and I want to just have all these hobbies. And yeah, he is living his best life. And then one thing that I had kind of opened with is he was having behavioral issues at school. Those like all went away. And it was interesting to see that a lot of his behavioral issues were, I think, just being underneath somebody else's thumb all day long. He is a kid who needs movement. He is a kid who doesn't sit well at a desk, and school is really hard for him. Academics are really hard. He has to work really hard to get the grades that he gets. And so I think he was underneath somebody's thumb for 8 hours, trying to do his best, trying so hard to behave and to listen and do what was asked of him. And he put his best self at school, and then he would come home and he would erupt. Mm-hmm. And it was so many behavioral struggles. And then as a mom, I always felt like, well, how do I discipline? Because I want to be your safe place, but you can't act like that. You can't come home and act like that. But I understand you just went through 8 really hard hours. So I felt like I wasn't even able to discipline how I wanted to, but the school got to discipline how they wanted to. And he was just, it was not a great combination. And so it was really lovely to look back and see, like, this has been the sweetest year of Harry and I's relationship ever. And it's because so much of that behavior is just gone. Because he gets to largely do what he wants to do within certain parameters. But yeah, it's been amazing to just see that he has become a really enjoyable child.
Okay, if somebody is listening and they're like, that sounds like my kid, maybe this is an option that I didn't think about. Like, what would your advice be for like navigating? Is this a good option for my particular kid?
Yeah, I will be the first to say I didn't think I could do it. I only did traditional setting. Most of the people I know did traditional setting. So I felt like in some ways a little more of a pioneer of online school. I honestly don't know that many working parents who also do online school. So I didn't think it could be done. And I just went on a hope and a prayer of we'll make this work. And it absolutely can be done. I think any parent that is entertaining it, I would say go for it. You can always pivot too. We always had in our back pocket, if this does not work, he can go back to the school that we pulled him from. There wasn't a wait list. So that was an option for us to be able to go back. And we always knew if this is not working at any moment, let's pivot and let's go back. And so we went out on a limb and it ended up being this beautiful thing. And so I would encourage people to consider. I'm not even saying you have to do it, but I would say it's probably far more feasible. And then it's also been really lovely to see the other adults that have stepped up in our life this last year, that people want to see Harry succeed. They want to see us succeed as parents too. So a lot of aunts and uncles and neighbors and grandparents, like they all filled in beautifully to help us achieve this, and really without us asking much either. So people really rose up in a beautiful way I was not expecting.
I feel like, so when I recorded with Trevor, the very first episode of the series, we were just talking about how to make decisions, how we did it as a couple. Not that we know how to, but how we made decisions. And one of the things he said was that like when we decided to pivot to private school, he wasn't 100%. I was 100%, but he was like just above 50. And it was like, just take the leap.
Yep.
You know, like you don't have to be 100% certain it's going to work out or be easy, but just like give it a try, because you can always pivot.
You can always pivot. Yes. And like truly, we didn't know beyond a week when we started of like, we've never done this. Let's figure it out. And we had glitches and technology didn't work. And you actually didn't turn in your assignment. Like you figure it out.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a year of learning, and we'll do it probably a little differently next year. Now that we know what we know, there's a learning curve to anything, but it ended up being far easier actually and far less challenging. And I think I was in my head for months leading up to this about, is this going to work? Is this going to be a good thing? And then I wish I could just go back and reassure myself it's going to be just fine.
Are you raising a creative kid with a head full of ideas and a heart full of determination? If you are, then you're going to love Marianne the Maker, a brand new picture book from bestselling author Kelly Corrigan and debut author Claire Corrigan-Litchie. This book is about a determined young inventor named Marianne. Marianne's days are filled with schedules, structure, and soccer. But there's just one problem. Marianne is a maker, and she needs every minute of her weekends to scheme and dream, draw and design, to build and rebuild. And this is the story of how a creator with a big imagination finds a not-so-great way to skip practice and create her masterpiece. But will her dad understand? Told in delightful rhyme with gorgeous collage-style illustrations, Marianne the Maker is sure to kindle the creative spark that lives inside of all of us. You can buy your copies of Marianne the Maker wherever books are sold.
Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
Okay, tell me a little bit more about the academics, because I don't even know. I, from being your friend, have heard all the benefits that you just explained in real life time, but I actually don't really know about how the academics work. I know he does it on a computer, and there's a teacher, but like, what does that look like? Like, are there other kids, or is it like, what is it? Just you, like an IXL type of, like, I literally no idea. Tell me what happens.
Yeah. So there is very little peer involvement with the program. Okay. I actually don't know that he ever interacted with another student. Okay. Very little discussion posts even. So very little peer involvement. The teacher involvement it's all pre-recorded or pre-done, because that gives them the ability to work ahead. So you are oftentimes, when you're doing the assignment or the daily work, you're not with a live teacher in that moment. It's all pre-recorded. They do a really lovely job of mixing up modalities of sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's a PowerPoint, sometimes it's a traditional kind of worksheet they uploaded. So they really do switch it up quite a bit. And so for a lot of the standard classes, it was just going on your computer, going down through the module there. Classes like science, we were mailed a science kit. So he still did science experiments. He still did everything at home and then just uploads his assignments to his portal that he had there. And then there is always live teachers available to reach out to. So he did have, for example, for Bible, he has one Bible teacher. So anytime he has a question or concern, he rattles it off the message to the Bible teacher. She has set live office hours, and then she also has within 24 hours, she'll get back to you or things like that too. So there's tons of help along the way if need be. And really, we empowered Harry of don't come to us with a problem, use the help that you have there. And he was able to figure out just about everything on his own.
And how they do testing.
Yep. It's just through your computer, like a regular old test. It's not proctored. So he could cheat in all reality. He didn't.
But that's a good thing to point out. Like,
he could cheat. We had issues where he was going in and using ChatGPT to do some homework. So
which is like we could probably have a whole episode on that with school.
Yeah. Of like, you can actually just use ChatGPT and copy paste. So we did run into some issues with that.
Yeah.
Where he would put like a whole math assignment into ChatGPT and say solve.
I mean, but kids at any school, like that doesn't have to be online. It just happens to be that he's independently learning. So it's easier for him to do that while you're not home. But like, I mean, anyone could do that.
Anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Cheating will be cheating forever.
Yeah. So we had to work around that. And just, it's funny. It's a funny thing.
Yeah. So that's all. Okay.
Yeah. So that is what the academics look like. There's 5 courses. Bible, what I love is in every year, every course, there will always be a Bible course. And what I really loved about the curriculum we chose was the Bible is woven into every curriculum too. It's not just Bible separate, and then you have your 4 other classes. It is Christian education woven throughout the whole 4 other classes too.
Okay, so Harry is older, and so he is able to do this with very little supervision and then go about his little independent merry way and do his things. But what about you? Obviously, you didn't do this with younger kids, so you don't really know. But like from your experience, what do you think it would look like with younger kids? Or like, what do you think, like how hands-on do you think parents would have to be? What would the challenges be? Yeah,
they give you this like little graph that says how involved you will be. So Harry just finished 7th grade. And it was very little parent involvement in 7th grade. And then they show you like K through 12. A lot of parent involvement. And it changes a little bit every single year as you get older. And then really after, I want to say 7th grade might even be the first year that they're like, yeah, you're pretty much done. You like let your student do it. So there would definitely be more parent involvement because again, you can't just give a kid an iPad and expect them to know what to do with it or computer. But we do have a 2nd grader. And for a minute we considered it. So we looked into it a little bit. And we said, really, honestly, no to the 2nd grader, just given how few hours my husband and I have to give to it, because it would be a little more parent involvement.
Yeah. So for younger kids, it's not like a full homeschool, but you need to be home and hands-on.
Yeah. The way that I kind of perceived it, and this is my own perceivement, not what the school said, is if you went with the lower grades, it's really just they're giving you the curriculum. And yes, they're giving you the online tools. They're still teachers and all that, but you're pretty heavily involved. And so again, why we didn't pursue it.
Yeah. But it could be a good option for parents who are like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like taking the plunge to homeschool feels so overwhelming. I want another teacher to plan the curriculum.
Yeah.
I could absolutely see doing that if I had more hours to give, just to not have to do any of the planning of the curriculum yourself.
Can you do like math? Like I'm going to homeschool and I'm going to do all my subjects, but I'm going to do math.
That's a great question.
Online.
I think, but I don't know, honestly.
Or there are probably, I mean, this is just one online program. So there probably are other programs where you can do.
Yeah. Like math is so far beyond me. I need help in math. Yeah. That's a great question.
I bet that is true. And how many options are there? Like you chose Liberty, but like, how did you decide which online option? What did you go through?
Oh my gosh, there's a ton, way more than I realized.
And I feel like there are more now, like post-COVID. Like it was definitely like, I'm sure it was a thing before, but like post-COVID.
Yep.
Just everything about school changed.
Yes.
But,
I think COVID really expedited these online options. They used to be there, but they've really polished them and they are fabulous now. And so when we looked, gosh, I was really considering about 5, and that was just with like a basic Google search, like Christian online programs for school. And then I briefly considered our public school option too, but I also pretty quickly ruled that one out too. But there is an overwhelming amount. What I loved about Liberty is it's just massive. It's a huge program. So tons of resources come with a huge program.
What type of resources?
IT resources, parent resources, just all of it, the 24 hours. There's somebody that you can get a hold of just about all of the time. And they made the whole process of signing up and registration a walk in the park. They made it a little too easy.
Do they have like elective options?
They do. And we said no to all of them.
Like what type of elective options?
Yeah. They have like some music elective options that you can do, some language elective options. And again, Harry's not academic. So the thought of putting anything further on him, he said absolutely no.
But will he have to in high school to meet? Well, if he stays online for high school, how does that change for later years? Because there would be different standards, right? For things you have to do.
Yep. I think you always have to do the standard 5 courses, I believe is what it is as we get into high school too. But then I don't think you actually have to do any electives. That's all optional.
Are you going to consider different options for high school? Are you going to maybe change your mind again?
Yeah, I've learned never say never, because that's been me in the butt a handful of times. I would have truly 5 years ago, I would have never said that we were sending our kids to private school. And then I would have never said I would do online school. And here we are. And so for all these years, we thought we were going to send our son to the local private high school in our area. And we're really reconsidering that because he's thriving at home. And so the thought of removing him from this, and he wants to be home too. And so I think we'll keep him for 8th grade. We're going to do online school again. And then the high school starts at 9th grade. And really, I think we'll take it month by month.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so kind of to wrap us up, what types of families do you think really would benefit from considering online school? And like, is there some type of thing you're like, maybe this wouldn't be for you if?
Yeah. I think if you had truly 2 parents that were gone all day long, I think that might be hard to have a kid home alone 10 hours at a time.
Yeah.
I think that would be hard. I have constant coming and going out of our house. So that part made it easier.
You also had an au pair for a while too.
We had an au pair for the first little bit too. Yeah. For the first 2 months.
So there was extra support. He wasn't just literally sitting at home all day.
Yep. In the beginning, yes. He definitely had more support. And then after our au pair left, we figured out more support throughout the day there. So that might be the only, if it's truly nobody, if you really don't feel like you have a community around you to help, that might be one thing. But outside of that, I don't know.
Just get curious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then how did you and Brian, your husband, decide to do this together? Like, how did you navigate that decision? And what would your advice be for parents who are trying to work together to navigate decision-making too? Because you, like us, have made multiple decisions and had to pivot. So that means you've had a lot of conversations and probably disagreements. And that's just like, I don't know. I think sometimes people feel like if they're not on the exact same page as their spouse, they start to think like maybe this isn't right or they're the only ones. And I feel like as I've been doing this series, I've learned more and more that like it just is a process.
It's a process. I will say every pivot with our kids and their education I felt convicted way before my husband did about any of it.
Same.
Yeah. So I was like, why me? And I feel
like that's really common. Like that's the story I hear a lot.
Yeah. I'm like, it's not even on my husband's radar. And here it is keeping me up at night.
And maybe that's just parenting because it's just more hands-on versus, I don't know. I mean, that's a very blanket statement, but from observations.
Yes. And my husband is amazing and so involved with our kids. And so it's like almost comical that it's not even on his radar because it's not like he's this absent father. Yeah. And so really it was me coming to Brian saying, this isn't working. Chapel Hill's not working. And obviously my husband could see too, because he saw it in the behavior. And he was surprisingly pretty on board. pretty quickly of like, yeah, this really isn't working. We also had the added factor of tuition was cut tremendously. So that was another added perk of like, oh, we'll also save a ton of money by having Harry not be home. And so that was, my husband's very financially minded. So that helped just ease for his sake too. But then really quite quickly, my husband was like, yeah, let's do this. What I appreciate about my husband is anytime that I am very convicted by something, he always says, I trust you. You have the final say. I'm not the one that's convicted about this. So I'm going to trust you to go to prayer and make the decision. And I'm here to support. But I will say at no point was Brian ever against. So that process was pretty easy.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about tuition for a second, because I think that is always a big question. Like, obviously, private school costs money.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are, I have learned throughout the country and even throughout even the state of Minnesota, like the school prices vary greatly. And then to traditionally homeschool or even to do online school, you have to have someone home. So that means maybe not two incomes. So like there's a price to every type of schooling that you have to consider. And finances are a really real deciding factor.
It is.
Turns out.
Yeah.
So what is it? I mean, even a number might not even be overly helpful because tuition's so different everywhere, but like, what is it in comparison to like a private school? How's this playing out financially?
Yeah. So it was about 1/10 of the price of private school. And so when they were like, do you want to do a payment plan or pay in full? I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, so pay in full for the 10% discount. Yes. So I was shocked at how affordable online school was.
And so does that include the teaching, the access to the portal, and
everything.
Like books?
Everything.
There's no obviously there's additional things that maybe like tutoring or extra literature and stuff. No, but like the textbooks.
Everything. We had to buy like Where the Red Fern Grows, and that was it. I know. So like that was all encompassing of everything.
Yeah. And he's writing like papers on that type of thing.
Yeah.
And like book reports and all the traditional things. There's no like, you don't feel like there's any cutting in academics.
No, it feels very traditional. It feels like the education I got when I was in 7th grade.
Yeah.
So it feels like, exactly what you would expect. Doing all the same things he was really doing in the classroom too. Just doing it online.
At home and at his own pace. Okay, so really to wrap this up, like what would your final closing thoughts be on benefits of this, surprises, any encouragement you have for parents?
Yeah, I would really,
sum up your year.
Yep, I would encourage that if school is not going well for one of your kids, to explore another option. I'll be the first to say I really wanted all 3 of my kids to do the same thing. Just for simplicity. I really, really wanted that school to work out so they could all be under one building and one drop off and one pickup. But it came to a head where I'm like, we're not thriving. He's not thriving. I'm not thriving. We can't continue with this. And what I will say is it wasn't that hard. Looking back on this last year I thought it was going to be really challenging to have 2 kids in one location, another kid at home. I thought I was going to run into all sorts of scheduling issues and just how do I be all the places and do all the things. And it ended up not being that big of a deal. So I would say, don't let the scheduling part of it affect, because it might not be so hard. And then I will also just say, give it a try. We have so many options at our fingertips now. We have so many things, whether you want to do homeschool or private or online or whatever it may be. You have so many really good options that have really been fine-tuned in these last handful of years, like we said, kind of post-COVID. And so get curious, try, make the leap. I just think we had so many unexpected blessings in this last year. And I always have joked that Harry is my hardest child, and here we are, and he has truly become like my joy and delight this last year, which I never could have predicted that happening.
And I have seen that transformation because we've obviously known each other for so long, and it has been so good for him.
It's been so good for him.
And I will be the first to say, when you said you're doing it, I was like, you guys have 2 really intense jobs and you're insane.
Yeah.
I literally was like, that
Are you sure?
Like, and I didn't say you're insane, but maybe I did. I don't know. But I was like, are you sure?
Are you sure? Yeah.
Can you actually do this? Can you do it?
Can you do it? Yeah.
And here you are.
And here we are. Yeah. And there has just been truly a joy and a delight. And to have a child that has just blossomed in so many incredible ways I just think there might be so many unexpected blessings right around the corner of something that you're not even considering. So I would highly encourage people to give it a go. Try.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I feel like it's just really helpful to hear a different experience of a type of school that people like truly probably just don't think of that much, but it is a really good option. And hopefully people feel a little encouraged by that. So
Absolutely.
thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you so much
for joining me. It's fun to have you on.
Happy to be here.
Thank you for joining me today. I hope you're a little more informed and a little more encouraged after that episode and after this series as a whole. Remember that each of your kids is unique just the way God made them, and it's okay if they have different educational needs too. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and review, and share this series with friends. Truly, I hope that it's helpful for parents who are navigating different school choices, so I would appreciate it so much if you would share. I hope you have a wonderful week. May God bless you, and may you see each and every one of your kids through the eyes of their Creator, fearfully and wonderfully made for a unique and good purpose, and may your decisions and actions build them up in that identity every day.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.